Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Saturday to you and your family. Hope you're having a fantastic and amazing weekend. We're taking another look, of course, at Terra Classic, helping you understand best practice, big picture, and perhaps where this might be heading in the near future. And of course, there's always a question mark there. No one truly knows, but we use past data to estimate where we're going to go in the future based on patterns and indicators. So really cool stuff. We'll be able to check that out. I'll try to explain everything as we go along. That's the whole point of this too, is to help educate you so you can do this yourself. I have a trading academy, community, and signal group. Link in the description below. Be sure to check that out. CryptoCash.tech is a website. It looks like this here when you go there to register. And I can tell you that it is an amazing experience. We've got some fantastic members here, and I can tell you that we're taking some pretty serious profits. You take a look here. We recently took 45% from Bitcoin, and then of course, just prior to that, we also took 57% from another trade earlier in the week, and then also 44% from Ethereum. The list goes on. XRP 41%. So yeah, there's a good amount of profits being taken, and that's just the beginning too. Like the amount of profits that some of my members are making right now, specifically through BitGet, is just phenomenal. So to touch on that too, just so you understand, BitGet is an exchange that I'm partnered with essentially, and I partnered with them because they offer leverage in the United States with no VPN. It's a really amazing situation, so be sure to check that out. If you use the link in the description below, before November 30th, you could be eligible for upwards of 43.23 in bonus USDT. And what you need to do that, just so you understand, is just transfer funds and use the exchange. It's based on volume, so if you're not using the exchange, you're not benefiting, okay? So just keep that in mind. That is what we're looking at there for some standard stuff. And when it comes to the Terra Classic here, we talked yesterday about this if you're familiar. Obviously, if you watched yesterday's video, you'd know what I'm talking about, in this fact that we expected this breakout to happen, right? Kind of called it a couple days ago. It broke out, and it retested this level here at about 31,000. Very close, just shy of, actually no, exactly 31,000, but just shy of that resistance level at right about 31.3. So that being said, comes up to retest that level, and it's coming back down and making higher lows. So if we look, again, we're on the 4-hour time frame right now, we're still making higher lows. So as long as the next low isn't lower than this Fibonacci retracement level of 26,700, we're in good shape. All right, and that pretty much just implies we should see further upside. I'm speculating we're going to see a cup and handle here, because look at this, nice little cup followed by a potential handle, and what will happen is when you break through a key level resistance, such as with a cup and handle pattern, the price will come up, it'll come back down to retest this level, and that's when you get your buy-in. Okay, that's essentially when you buy in, because what that does, that gives you confirmation that the ascending trend is occurring. Okay, so again, those are things you want to try to look for. For the moment, we're not there yet, of course, but it is a nice looking cup and handle so far. I think we might be trending towards that. All right, so let's take a look at the daily and work our way down. We can see here, of course, RSI is still trending above 50. Fantastic, I love it. It really just implies here that 26,700 is a key level support, and we can rely on that being a nice support level if the price were to come back down to retest. Similar to XRP, I've been covering that one a lot as well. It is retesting a key level support based on Fibonacci, and it's bouncing essentially. So 48 cents should be 50, 51, 52, and we should be all good to hit our targets, because that's a recent trade that we took for my signal group. I send out some signals for XRP and Bitcoin, because I feel like Bitcoin's tentative bottom is in. I feel like we should be able to continue to progress higher throughout the weekend. And then of course, same thing follows suit with XRP and Terra Classic. And again, Terra Classic isn't 100% aligned with Bitcoin, but it definitely has similar behavior. Just keep in mind, the old reset button was hit recently when we had this big increase, of course, of somewhere in the range of 20-30% in one trading day. Actually, I think it was larger than that. Hold on, let's see. I'm curious. See here. Oh, nope, I was way off. 85% in one trading day. Okay, so an 85% increase in one day is pretty huge. And that was, of course, from the news of the burn that's going to occur with Binance. Okay, that spiked things up. And of course, it retraced immediately after. That's very common. And now we're increasing again, bouncing out that support level. Keep in mind, this support level here at 26.7 was essentially a support level for quite a few days before it broke to the downside and then came back up. This is when Bitcoin was mostly aligned with Terra Classic, and it separated itself from that with a new volume, and we're seeing some interesting and dynamic behavior because of that. And again, if you can kind of understand how coins are coupled with Bitcoin, and when they decouple themselves, that's really huge, because that is essentially the coins you want to focus on for the most part, at least as far as breakouts are concerned. Speaking of breakout, we have potential convergence here. The MACD is basically diverging, or sorry, it's no longer diverging, and we're soon to converge. Basically, the 12-day exponential moving average is going to intersect with the 26 in upward fashion, giving us that convergence. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's on the horizon, especially if we have that cup and handle pattern come to fruition. Then we're going to come up, retest that level, and bounce off 31,000. It's going to be beautiful. Those things happen quite a lot, usually in price discovery, but we're not quite there yet, obviously, but it's really cool to see this is happening so far, so good. So mostly positive in that sense. And keep in mind too here, this is diverging, so to speak, and essentially relaxing, and that momentum is losing. So the bearish momentum is no longer valid. It's basically invalidating the bearish momentum, right? So we're trending upwards, for lack of better terms, and it's a positive sign there. Another thing we want to take a look at is the 4-hour here, and you can kind of see with this. Again, this is that pennant pattern that we saw, bullish pennant pattern where the price breaks up to the upside. It's a very standard trading technique or pattern you see in trading. And what I want to do here is, of course, extend this guy out here, because we can see that it's still actually holding pretty strong as far as this ascending trend is concerned. So hypothetically, we should experience the cup and handle here soon, and the price should break to the upside and continue on its merry way. If we break down below this trend line, it's not the end of the world. Again, we want to still maintain higher lows. So as long as the next low isn't below 26,700, then we're all good. So to me, this feels like a cup and handle that should likely break out to the upside. If it doesn't, we'll come back down to retest 27,000-ish, 26.7 roughly, and then bounce from there. That's a strong likelihood. If we break below 27,000, we're going to have a different conversation. Okay, but we're not there yet, and we got to give it a time and give it a chance to be able to do its thing. So whether or not it attempts to come up here and gets rejected, or perhaps it continues to break sideways and down, we got to give it that opportunity. But both scenarios are potentially bullish, more so than the inverse, whereas the price action should not come to any lower than that level. Okay, again, based on previous data, we can see that that's a nice support level. We're also trending above 50 on the RSI and have been for some time. And this is extremely important too, because that's working as a support level, holding the price action up. And what's nice about this is for the most part going sideways, right? Whereas the price action is going up. It's a very, very good sign. That's typically a bullish convergence on the RSI, and it's absolutely something you want to look for. So I like the look of that. I also like the fact that this MACD, basically the divergence, is getting squeezed out. In other words, it's not truly diverging, it's kind of averaging itself out. So this momentum to the downside is starting to dissipate based on the most recent candles. Okay, so the last 4 hours have been very good for Terra Classic in the sense of recovering back up and getting its momentum to finish and complete that cup and handle potential pattern. All right, so again, really good stuff there in that sense. Moving averages are all fairly decent. I'd love to be over the 200. That would really help us a lot. So just say hypothetically, the 200 continues to average itself out. The price comes up here, retests this level. It'll not only have this resistance level that'll be broken and considered a support level at 31,000, it'll also have the moving average 200 on the 4 hour, giving us that reiteration that we're on the right side of the tracks. So again, mostly good stuff here if we can break above 31,000. That's really what we're looking for. A closure above 31,000 would be fantastic. So again, just to reiterate, you can see these higher lows are occurring. As long as we continue to maintain them, we're just fine. All right. So all good in that sense here so far. We got to give it time to kind of come through, but I like what we're seeing here so far. When we take a look, of course, also at the TD sequential, I want to kind of see if there's any overextension. For the most part, we're hitting 6s and 7s. And we're not really hitting these like extreme situations for Terra Classic, because it does pump and then immediately correct itself in most cases. So I would just say that this is good in the sense that we're not overextended by any stretch, and we have plenty of room to grow here. I mean, hypothetically, after this period of consolidation, the price has another 8 to 10 hours of continuation on the upside. There's potential for that, right? Now, will that happen? Hard to say. Depends on if Bitcoin has a bad day or not. Just again, even though Terra Classic is separate from Bitcoin, it's still reliant on Bitcoin not being terrible, right? Because there's that fear, uncertainty, and doubt that comes into play. And then when Bitcoin dominance comes down, alts will tend to surge in the right circumstances. And this is one of those alts that could happen. So it may actually be beneficial in a small way if Bitcoin were to come down in price, but not like an immediate drop. We don't want a drop in price. We just want like kind of a slow taper. And I hate to root for Bitcoin going down, but in essence, Bitcoin dominance, that factors in a lot for Terra Classic, because this is a very large volume coin. The last thing to also recognize as well is Ichimoku Cloud. We are still trending above the cloud here, and this is fantastic if you kind of take a look here, because even though the lagging span is not free and clear of price action, That pretty much implies you would have wanted to trim or close your long position by now. And the conversion lines below the baseline, we're still trending above the cloud. And see how this cloud is essentially working concurrent with this ascending trend? That's a very common characteristic, and that should essentially allow for the price action to continue higher. Those are things that are also more contributing or positive factors in the sense of more of a long versus a short position would be recommended, right? So with all the information we've extracted here so far, we don't have confirmation just yet. But the cup and handle pattern is forming. We are doing very well, being above some key level resistances. We have nice support based on RSI, and there's a handful of reasons why the price action should continue higher and retest the level of 31,000. Will it happen today? Possibly. It could happen in the next couple of days, but it just seems very likely that Terra Class is going to brush past that resistance level, come back down, retest it as a support, and continue higher. Those are very, very common characteristics in trading. So if I were to give a statistical probability here, I would say it's like a 70% likelihood based on what we've looked at so far that Terra Classic is going to increase versus decrease. Again, this is referring to the general sense of the next couple of weeks. I'm not talking about this instant because I truly don't know. There's, weekends can be funny sometimes where there's a lot less volume and you don't see a tremendous amount of growth on the weekends. So just bear that in mind. I would be prepared for tomorrow evening, though, of course. Sunday night at right around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Eastern markets open up and things get kind of crazy. All right, so again, bear that in mind. Tomorrow night, be on your toes. But we'll, of course, cover this again tomorrow just so you understand where we're at going into that. But I think we're more likely to see an increase than a decrease from here. Nice cup and handle pattern. So I hope that you learned something here today, of course. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to working with you all in the next video and future reference too, obviously. I work with all of my community members. CryptoCash.tech is a website. We all learn and grow together. Phenomenal experience. Thank you so much also to my current members for the amazing feedback I've been receiving too. I'm happy to learn that you are learning and that you are growing and becoming self-sufficient traders. That makes my day. I tell you what, it's awesome. So thanks again for that. I appreciate it. We'll see you all in the next video. Have yourself a great rest of your day. Take care.